Harry's Wife, Part 93.31, Royal Recruitment at Dinner. News may have reached you that Harry's wife has been spotted out in public. Yes, she was attending a dinner date, taking along old Ginger Bollocks and meeting up with Princess Eugenie and her husband Jack Brooksbank. How do we know this? Well, surprisingly enough, photographs have been provided. More about that a little later in this video. But photographs have been provided of the evening meal that took place. And it's reported in TMZ, or TMZ to us Brits. The article explains as follows. Prince Harry and Harry's wife got a taste of what they left behind in the United Kingdom, because one of the royals made her way to the United States for a little chow and a little conversation. Princess Eugenie and hubby Jack Brooksbank broke bread with Harry and Harry's wife in Santa Barbara over the weekend. It seems Harry and Eugenie have a close connection, closer than he has with some of the other royals, including his dad and his brother. Harry took Eugenie to the Super Bowl the weekend before, so it sure seems the two are pretty close. They certainly have a UK connection. Eugenie and Jack now live in Frogmore Cottage, the same place Harry and Harry's wife lived before bolting England. The dinner came on the heels of a grievance Harry had about the royals protecting his kids. As we reported, Harry will not take Archie and Lilibet to the Queen's Platinum Jubilee in June because the fam refuses to provide security for the kids. So in a way, dinner with Eugenie is like the mountain coming to Muhammad. Well, that's the report that appears in TMZ. So on the face of it, those who are not familiar with narcissism would look at those pictures and go, oh, isn't it nice? The four of them are enjoying a meal together, sloshing back the Sauvignon Blanc, enjoying a meal and some conversation. That's really nice. Leave them alone. Let them enjoy that time together. A little bit of the United Kingdom in a member of his family and his cousin has popped across to see him, and they're having a jolly nice time together. However, what you need to do, though, is understand what's really going on there. Well, with regard to Eugenie, she's come to see her cousin and his handler, although she won't see her necessarily that way because she's on favourable terms with them all, and it's, we fancied a trip, we've come to see you, and she's enjoying a night out. Ditto her husband. For Harry, great to see my cousin, really enjoyed myself, a bit of Blighty has come over here, and you can see his reaction in the photographs, which I'll be addressing shortly. However, what is the view of this from the perspective of Harry's wife? Is it the case that she can just go out and enjoy a meal with her husband and his cousin and his cousin's husband and just enjoy the occasion for what it is, that she can somehow park the narcissism for the evening and just enjoy it for what it is? Well, if you're a keen student of my work, you should know that the answer to that is no. There's no such thing as a part-time narcissist. We don't park our narcissism in certain situations. It's always there governing our actions. Benign, malign, looking to assert control over whoever comes up on the radar. So here, it would be over the intimate partner primary source, Harry, non-intimate secondary source, Eugenie, non-intimate secondary source, Jack Brooksbank, non-intimate tertiary source, waiting staff. And all of those individuals would have to be controlled, likely in the context of this meal, in a benign way, complimenting them, asking them questions, laughing in that fake laugh to what's being said. All of those things aren't genuine appreciations of the interaction, although she will believe it is, blinded by her narcissism, but it's occasioned by her narcissism to make her behave in a favourable way towards them, to assert control, to draw the fuel from Harry's responses, to draw the fuel from what Eugenie says, to draw the fuel from what Mr. Brooksbank has to say. It also allows a presentation of the facade because, of course, notwithstanding all of these protestations about wanting privacy, lo and behold, they managed to be photographed going out for this meal. How did that happen, one wonders? Oddly enough, when I go out for a meal, I'm not being photographed, but of course I go out of my way to ensure that that wouldn't happen, for reasons which are clear to you. But here, they could go out for a meal in Santa Barbara, there's plenty of restaurants, and do so in a manner whereby they could avoid detection, and certainly they could at least go and take a table whereby they are not capable of being papped by a long lens, or by looking at these pictures, probably not that long a lens either. Of course, we know it's been set up, and we know who it's been set up by. Harry's wife, through the PR agencies, will ensure the paparazzi were told that they would be dining out so that these favourable pictures appear that demonstrate, look, we're having a lovely time together. We're just normal people enjoying a normal meal and a pleasant evening together. Of course, as you know, viewed through the lens of narcissism, it's not just about that. They could have been placed inside so that they could enjoy their meal without being seen. But the pictures look to me as if they've been taken from being sat on some kind of balcony, and therefore it's been done for the purposes of asserting control over the readership, the viewership, and the facade management of, look, we're having a lovely time, I'm a nice person. So this meal allows the assertion of control generally over the viewership, the receipt of fuel from their responses, and facade management, which is a residual benefit. It also, of course, allows assertion of control over the other three people having the meal, particularly Eugenie, who has that role as the mole in the royal family, being controlled by Harry's wife as a conduit for information from back in Blighty to her, because of that ever-present need for control, that when the royal family come up on the radar, she needs information about them, and to enable her narcissism to take action to counter any threats to control. So, in effect, this was a royal recruitment dinner. It was keeping Eugenie on side by using benign manipulations towards her, flattery, attentiveness, compliments, perhaps even paying for the meal. She is held in situ as a member of the coterie and possibly a lieutenant for Harry's wife, of course not knowing that that's her role. To the uninformed, it just looks like four people having a meal, notably four well-known people. But nevertheless, you have the advantage of my unrivaled analysis of what's really going on from the perspective of Harry's wife, and it's never just a meal when it comes to us. It has to accord with the pursuit of the residual benefits, the fuel, the control, and the character trait acquisition, i.e. it all has to equate to the pursuit of the prime aims. When we are interacting with other people, one or more of those prime aims must be sought and obtained. And this is what is happening there. But let's now dip in and have a look at some of the photographs, because they also tell us an interesting story. The first photograph shows us Harry laughing, clearly looking relaxed, although somewhat dishevelled, I would say. Has he never heard of a brush? And also Harry's wife smiling. Notice there's the old rictus grin making its appearance. We haven't spoken about that for some time. And I'm not sure why they're sat behind what looks like perspex. You'd have thought they'd be able to attend some kind of restaurant where they can afford glass. So I'm not sure why there is this sort of plastic perspex curtain that's evidently there. Perhaps somebody put in one of the windows earlier on. They didn't have time to repair it. Who knows? Perhaps Harry's wife had a hissy fit before turning up. But leaving that to one side, there she's smiling, which is a benign response to what's going on, and Harry's clearly enjoying himself, mouth open wide as he's about to no doubt ask where his Crayolas are. In our next photograph, we see that it's Mr. Brooksbank who appears to be holding court, and that his wife and Prince Harry are wrapped in their attention of what he has to be saying to them. We can't see Harry's wife, she's off to the left. Now, in such a scenario, the fact that Prince Harry and Eugenie are looking at Mr. Brooksbank while he is speaking means that this would threaten the control of Harry's wife. As a narcissist, the fuel, demonstrated by the looks on the faces of Eugenie and Harry, is directed towards Mr. Brooksbank. Mr. Brooksbank doesn't need that fuel, but that's irrelevant to the narcissism of Harry's wife. She's not the centre of attention, even for the shortest of seconds, and at this juncture it threatens her sense of control. Some narcissists, of course, would create a scene, knocking over a glass, spilling a drink, immediately talking about something to bring attention back onto themselves. For her, she's less likely to make a scene because of facade management. As a middle range narcissist, her facade management will be able to keep her ignited fury under control so that she would smile and listen, and then would bring attention back onto herself by talking about herself in some way, asking a question and such like, in a manner which is commensurate with the tone of the event. The next photograph takes us back to seeing all four of them. And again, we can now see that they evidently are sat on some kind of balcony, so they can easily be photographed from the street. And it appears again that Mr. Brooksbank is one that's conversing, usually looking at him, Prince Harry looking at him, as is Harry's wife. And moving on from the point that I had just made, what's happening here is that she's giving him his attention as part of the facade management. She will be wanting to bring control back onto her unconsciously. She doesn't sit there thinking, I haven't got control of this situation, I now need to get control of this situation. No. What she will be doing is thinking, oh, this is all very interesting, because her narcissism will make her believe that. So she sits there with a rictus grin, looking to fit in by appearing to smile at what he has to say. And her facade management of her narcissism is managing to keep the ignited fury under control at this juncture. On to our next photograph, and at this point it appears that Mr. Brooksbank is saying something along these lines. And so then I found out what was blocking the Dyson, and it was a pair of Eugenie's knickers, the sexy thong that I like her to wear, that are about this size, and he holds up his hands to demonstrate it. You can see from Eugenie's face that she's not overly impressed by this recollection of her thong being found blocking the relevant Dyson vacuum cleaner. Of course, Harry's wife finds it hilarious, and her narcissism at this juncture causes her to assert control by responding in a benign fashion towards Mr. Brooksbank as the non-intimate secondary source and maintaining the facade. You can see by the look on her face, you can almost hear that fake laugh, can't you, that we've heard many times before, the ha 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 that comes erupting from her, which is generated by her narcissism because she actually has no genuine sense of humour, and it's manufactured by her narcissism in order to cause her to fit in. And so she responds in a benign fashion to whatever amusing anecdote that Mr. Brooksbank has to be talking about. And I think I've called that one pretty well, actually. I bet it is about Eugenie's thong blocking the Dyson. In our next photograph, there appears to be a discussion ongoing that Prince Harry is talking to Jack Brooksbank. Not sure what Eugenie's signalling at. Maybe she's calling for the cheque, for the bill. And we can't see the expression on Harry's wife's face. She's staring intently at him. Maybe she's making grimacing expressions, signaling that she wants something to do something else, or maybe she's giving him some attention, again fitting in with the facade, controlling her responses so that she doesn't show an ignited fury towards somebody else in her world hogging the limelight. In our next picture, we see Princess Eugenie. She's now holding court, and Harry looks very content, enjoying listening to what his cousin has to say. We, of course, can't see Harry's wife's response. She might continuing to be there with a fixed rictus grin, the facade management holding, or perhaps she's looking in the other direction as the narcissist's mind wanders elsewhere because she's not really interested in what Eugenie has to say. But Harry certainly looks content and happy for once, something that's been often missing with regard to his appearances as of late. And then it's home time. As they depart from the restaurant, we see Harry and Eugenie leading the way, and then followed up by, no doubt, Harry's wife and Mr. Brooksbank. And the meal is concluded, and a good time was had by all. And in our final photograph, there he is, the Ginger Prince, again enjoying himself, looking more relaxed than he has done for quite some time. And that's the consequence of him having a connection with his cousin, and he's evidently not being subjected to devaluing behaviour on this night out because her narcissism will adjust the behaviour because of the need to maintain a facade. And therefore he's able to enjoy some respite. He's given a respite period from the sustained devaluation that he finds himself in. Might this cause him to think, actually, I really miss England. It was great seeing my cousin. I want to go back. Maybe more seeds are being planted in his head. Only time will tell. But this event provides us with another excellent opportunity, not only to understand the event as a whole through the lens of narcissism, but also to see the interaction that's going on between the people at the meal and, of course, what will really be going on in the world of Harry's wife in terms of the way that her narcissism responds and causes her to behave, something you only get from a proper analysis of the behaviours and interaction from me. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.